what's going on, everybody? This is the next episode of Arena Goat Talk, bringing on the arena greats and letting them tell their story and give you guys advice along the way. And so, in this next episode, we got Arena Bowl champion and a arena great. You got Mr. James Hundon. We call him Jay Hun. How you doing today, sir?
Man, I'm blessed. How you doing out there, EJ?
I'm doing all right. Just keep myself busy, trying to do positive things.
That's right. That's right.
But
Good to see you after all these years.
man, who you telling? Like it just, a lot of times we don't be seeing everybody. We had a helmet on and we locked in. Like you ain't even care about what you look like. Let's talk after the game.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah, I remember that.
and then now we over here talking about old injuries and stuff like that. You thinking you invincible until you ain't invincible. And now we sitting here, oh man, my knee be acting up, and you know what I mean. Just be talking about that stuff.
Yep. Yeah. I'm all for it. Let's roll.
All right, so we just talking about you and we ain't about introducing, but there are some young bucks now that don't really know some of the cats that help put this thing in motion so they can do what they do now. So let's jump into where you from and kind of your story up until college.
All right. So I'm originally from Daly City, California, which is a suburb of San Francisco. Went to Jefferson High School, where John Madden actually went to Jefferson High School, and John Robinson, the old school coach of the LA Rams at the time, went there as well. Graduated from there, '88. Went to City College of San Francisco, and had a pretty good career at City College of San Francisco. Ended up making their championship board. One of the city college greats there. And I ended up scholarshiping out of there after a little bit of a hiatus between uh, junior college. You just kind of that area where you want to play, but then you got your parents that say you should get a job, and there's so many other distractions out there, right?
Yes.
And I got distracted for a little bit, and then I circumvented back around after the '89 season. And the reason why I didn't play in '88 was because City College had a program that were stacked. So there was no way that I was going to play. And the coach said, hey, drop down below 12 units, and then you'll come back next year. You still have your, 2 years of eligibility. And at that time, you remember the Division I clock would run whenever you started having 12 units or more.
Mm-hmm.
Ended up playing in '89, and unfortunately, that was the year of the earthquake in October, I believe it was October 17th. Then I ended up getting hurt. Didn't play no more for a while. Just kind of, that was that transition period, '89, '90, '91. Just kind of ventured off. Came back in '92 with my head on straight, and I ended up leading the nation in yards per catch with like 29 yards per catch and 19 yards for punt return, and I ended up scholarshiping up to Portland State.
Okay.
Now, remember that was in '92, so I should have been playing the '93 season. So the reason I tell the story is, for people like, don't give up just because things don't chronologically work out for you. So I transferred to Portland State in '93. There was an issue with my units because City College of San Francisco did semesters. Portland State did quarters. So there were two classes they just didn't accept, and I needed like 6 more units, so I couldn't play that year. And I could have said, man, forget it, I don't want to play, and came back home. But came back home, went to summer school, worked it out, and then I came back in '94, played '94, '95, and I ended up signing with the Cincinnati Bengals as a undrafted free agent in '96.
Okay. So kind of as you're coming up through high school, whatever, was there something that motivated you, or let's say what motivated you to go through life, and two, kind of what was your drive, in football?
Oh, so that's kind of interesting. So I had an uncle that played football. Um, at the time, it was a school. It's called Ceremony High School. So I always used to go up to the school with him, and I was the bratty nephew, but I love going to football and watching and playing. And so actually, my uncle really like inspired me to play football. And he played running back, and he was a pretty decent running back. And from there, I kind of like started, falling in love with like the 49ers and then like Dwight Clark and Freddie Solomon and those cats, right? I was like,
Mm-hmm.
man, okay. So I knew that I was fast. Um, I could catch the ball pretty good. And I started getting encouragement from a lot of people like, man, you should try and play football. Like, you fast and can't nobody catch you. I ended up trying out, and my speed was the thing that kept me around. And as I went through the transition that I explained about previously, um, after Portland State, when I came home, I had the opportunity to train with Jerry Rice,
Mm-hmm.
Roger Craig, Steve Bono, Marquez Pope. Um, Gosh, it was so many other people that came. People from Canada were down there, and our trainer, his name was Raymond Ferris, and my former agent at the time, God rest his soul, Angelo Wright, introduced me to the group, and then I became really good friends with Daryl Pollard. And once I got introduced to the group, I mean, can you imagine what it's like watching Jerry Rice practice? Somebody
Yeah,
that you watched on TV and just watch.
mesmerized.
Yeah, man. And then his work ethic was just so addicting. And people used to say, you kind of like Jerry Rice. You remind me of Jerry Rice. So I took that as a compliment, and I kind of imparted that into me. Um, Other aspirations that helped me out was people saying that I was too small. You're not going to make it, so on and so forth. I took that and kind of, I imparted that in a little, into the little glove box, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, it kept me determined. And so once I got moved up into the group that Jerry was running in, and when Jerry told me, he goes, you remind me a lot of myself coming out of college, but you're a lot faster. And he did not hold any punches back. If I dropped the ball, he was like, there's no reason why you should have dropped that ball. Anything that touched your hands, you should catch. And so he helped me create a standard.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd never seen Jerry drop a ball. As far as like during the off season training,
Mm-hmm.
never, never. So one of my goals was when I would go through a training camp or practice was to never drop a ball.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was my drive, aside from my uncle and then being able to train with Jerry. Um, that's what kind of set the standard for me for life, because eventually I knew that everything that got me prepared for football was really preparing me for life. I didn't understand it at the time,
Mm-hmm.
but I understood, like, okay, after football, these qualities of, working together, being on time, being early, doing the extra work, so on and so forth, being able to make split decisions just like that if you need be thought processes, all those things in football from Coach Terry Malley and all my other coaches that I was a part of really kind of expanded me to understand now my really true purpose of why God blessed me with the ability to play in the different leagues that I actually played in.
Mm-hmm. So when you were in college, right? Um, was there a point that you were like, you know what, I think I'm good enough for pro ball, or was there a point where where it clicked, like, no, nah, I'm gonna do this. I'm playing pro ball. Like, was there a point, or what was the point that you reached that you just knew what you wanted to do?
When I was a kid, I always wanted to be in the NFL. So I don't know if you remember Monday Night Football, ABC and the old music. Dun, 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 dun,
Mm.
dun.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
that would always play, and I would be fixated on. So I always want to play and envision playing and reenacting moves, right? So at
Mhm.
Portland State, I knew that there was a possibility because there was a guy on my team named Derek Holmes, great running back. The scouts were coming to see him, and then I get a phone call from my coaches saying, "Hey, the scouts, we know they want to talk to you," because he was a year ahead of me.
Mhm.
And it wasn't until that day when scouts were asking about me was when like reality set in. Like I actually have a chance. Like they're interested. So basically, the ball was in my court. So
Mhm.
um, the possibility of possibly being drafted, and I started learning about unrestricted free agency and all that. Well, I knew the hard work that I needed to do to open up the eyes and catch the attention of coaches was all on me. And so from that point on, once I got that phone call to come down there and work out, I worked out for Cincinnati out there. I want to say Pittsburgh came out, Minnesota came out. And then, excuse me. And then after I left to come home to train and get ready for the draft,
Mhm.
the Kansas City Chiefs, um, Lynn Styles ended up calling my house. My grandmother answered the phone, and she blew up my cell phone saying, "Where are you? The Kansas City Chiefs are looking for you." And I was like, "Kansas City Chiefs?" She gave me a number to call, and it was like, "Hey, James, I'm in town, and um, I got Jack Beatty here. We want to work you out. We meet you up at your high school." I was like, and I was at the gym at the time. I was like, "Sure." Went home, got my cleats, came back, and met him on the field at Jefferson High School, and it was an awesome experience because my little brother, Jerron, was attending the high school at the time. They contacted the high school to make sure it was okay to work out. The principal of mine came down, the assistant principal. Uh, they let my brother out of class, and if you can imagine uh, like the back of the high school, and it has the walkway, but you can kind of look down onto a field, and then the football field's a little bit further back, so you can see
Mhm.
all the students walking back and forth. They had a period where they let all the students stay out and kind of watch from afar, me work out. So my brother,
Uh-huh.
and that was a pretty cool experience, and I did everything great. And then on draft day, I ended up I guess my agent got a call from them, and they wanted to bring 15 receivers into camp. My agent was like, "No, no, he's better than camp legs." He goes, "No." And then Cincinnati ended up calling them and says, "Look, we're going to keep 7 on the roster, 5 on the roster, 2 on the practice squad, and we're only going to bring 10 guys into camp."
Mm.
I like those chances. Well, he loved those chances better, and I was like, "Okay." And EJ, I went in there and I outran everybody. My conditioning was top tier. I had veterans talking about, "Man, you're not gonna make the team," beating everybody out in conditioning. I just did
Mhm.
what I needed to do. I
They're
don't know if
trying to
you,
talk you
I don't,
down.
yeah, I don't know if you had this test done before, but it was 16 110s that we had to do.
Mhm.
So for everyone you missed, you had to do 2 for everyone that you missed. So if you missed 8, you got to do 16 the next day.
Mhm.
Receivers, we had to do it between 14 and 16 seconds. I made all of them between 14 and 16. There were some of them I made in like 13.
Mhm.
But that, I mean, and it was a drive, like the opportunity was there, present itself. So I had to give my all. So that way, if I didn't make it, I can't say I didn't give my all.
Exactly.
And the rest was history as far as making it to Cincinnati. Um, and then, I mean, I could hop around now after that, after being uh, after being released after being there for 4 years. Um, was the year they drafted Peter Warwick and Ron Dugans.
Okay.
Okay, so I got released. That's when I understood football was a business then.
Mm-hmm.
So
After
kind of think
your third or fourth year, then they start to say, "Hey, we can go cheaper."
go cheaper, like because what I was able to provide, Darnay Scott broke his leg. Carl Pickens had got traded. We had Craig Yeast. That was myself, and I was the only one out of Craig Yeast had been there the longest, and I knew everybody's position. So
Mm-hmm.
the goal was to you receivers out there, you get into these camps. Don't just learn the one position that they tell you to learn. Learn everyone's position. It makes you more valuable and understand the details of every position that you do. And that's what I did. They tried to trick me in preseason games. You're going to play this quarter, that quarter, then some so's going to come in. And then right after a couple of plays, here come another dude. So I step out of the huddle like, oh, you got to go over the Eagle or go over the Hawk. So I go over and I graded out 100%. All
Mm-hmm.
they could do was after the day after the final cuts was they just like boldly just cut me. It was I didn't give them a reason to cut me.
Take away
And
all
that's
them excuses. Yep.
yep. And you couldn't say I graded out bad here. I did this wrong. I did that wrong. Everything was precise. I made sure depths on routes when they would give the written test. Like I was very, very detailed. And studying is very, very important. So I would know what to do and what adjustments to make just by watching one or two people on the defense make a move. And that's what made me so good in the arena league. And a lot
Mm-hmm.
easier because it's only three DBs, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I can tell you the reason for my success in the arena league after coming out of Canada and after coming out of the XFL in Canada was learning how to watch the backside corner and that front side corner. I didn't really care too much about the defensive specialist. The only thing that he would give away was if it was sky coverage, he was going to come down and press me on the line of scrimmage. That
Mm-hmm.
was automatic, no brainer. But
Mm-hmm.
when I would see different movements, I don't know if you remember when I started my motions, I would always skip, and I would be like 10 yards back. So
Mm-hmm.
when I would skip, it made the people move, either that backside corner or that front side corner. And based off of film study, once I would do that, by the time I took that third step, I'm 5 yards away from the line of scrimmage. You would declare already as a defense.
Mm-hmm. You
So
got to.
I already knew what adjustments that I was going to make.
Yeah.
Automatic. So film study is very important. You can't rely
Yeah.
on just talent.
Oh yeah, we gonna get to that in a minute. I definitely will save them tips for in a couple minutes. We're gonna break that
Okay.
down. I definitely want you to break that down. But as you had your time in the NFL, XFL, and everything. I kind of get into the story of how Arena got introduced to you and your thoughts as that was happening.
So I can thank my good buddy and friend and college teammate Steve Pappin for introducing
Yeah.
to me to the Arena League. XFL, we had just completed our season. I was playing with the San Francisco Demons, and we were in Milwaukee at the time, getting ready to play Milwaukee the next day. And it came up on the news that the XFL folded.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, dang, like just like that? Um, and well, let me go back. Let me go back before that. I'm sorry.
Good.
When we were having training camp in Vegas, Steve had told Darren Arbette about me, and I ended up meeting with Darren. And right after the arena season, after the XFL, Darren called me and he invited me down, to come down and talk numbers. And that's the first time I met him and Terry Malley and everybody else. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, okay. And Mike Church was actually our defensive coordinator for the San Francisco Demons. And he is also the reason why I ended up in San Jose as well.
Okay.
And then from that point on, once I started playing with them, I think it was like the second or third game with them. That's when I found out the XFL. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't know what to do as far as playing me at the time. They tried to play me as a two-way player, linebacker, receiver. So I was still, trying to learn the game.
Mm-hmm.
Man, let me tell you. Well, you know this. You was in the league a while. That game was tough. It was
Yes.
tough on the body. It was tough playing two ways, and I guess I can elaborate on how I ended up becoming an offensive specialist.
Mm-hmm.
Was Steve got hurt, Pappin got hurt, and then in the same game, James Rowe, they moved him to offensive specialist. James Rowe got hurt.
Mm.
Terry puts me in and says, "Okay, well, you're the offensive specialist now." Um, and these are he kept it pretty simple, but man, that guy was amazing. I scored my first touchdown from that position, and like the rest is history. I just remember the next week after we won that game, the next week at practice, Terry had me run every last play in practice.
Get you in
7
shape.
What? 7-on-7, 1-on-1, team, individual. People, oh, I got it. He was like, no, no, no. Come back to the huddle. Take a breather. Okay. And wore me out. And so nobody really knew about me. That was like my first year. And I
Mm-hmm.
think I don't know if you remember, but it was like 2001 was actually, that was my first year. So my breakout game was against Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
And from that point on, like I said, the rest is history after that.
Mm-hmm. So kind of speak on your time in San Jose. I had Rashad on Rashid. I had
Rashid,
Rashid
yeah.
on. I had Rashid on here a couple weeks ago, and I'm actually airing his stuff this week. He spoke highly of you. He's like, man, Jay Hunt was a beast, and he was talking about as you got older, we all come across injuries and everything. He's like pretty
Mhm.
much saying that's the only time he got on the field is when you started having injuries, and that's when he was able to step in.
Yeah.
So he spoke real highly of you.
Man, Rashid, let me tell you about Rashid. He was a young, energetic cat out of San Jose State, and he just he used to try too hard. This is my opinion. He used to try too hard to be impressive. He had the build, he had the speed, he had the athleticism, and I used to tell him, man, you got to let the game come to you. It'll come. You can't force it. You have to just let it come. So I believe that the things that I did as a player um, when he was going in through the rotation in other spots
Mm-hmm.
because of all the film that I would watch, I would make adjustments for him because just so he can catch the ball and score.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like not showing favoritism, but I knew what I needed to do before I needed to do it that would get him open. And so
Mm-hmm.
I would tell him, okay, hey, this is second down. They like to play sky or they like to play cloud over here. I said, so he's going to try and catch me here. I said, so I'm just going to go this way. Once I turn his back, you make sure you get on his bumper. You'll be wide open. And I remember he scored his first touchdown. I believe he caught it like on a post or something. And he was like super hyped, like geeked. In every game, I was like that with anybody that came in, even him. I just remind them, calm him down. All right, they're gonna do this. You gotta press this dude. Make sure you press him because you'll get them. Because they're gonna be worried about me. I'm gonna give this. Once I give this, you just take off. And the game started coming to Rashid. And he
Mm-hmm.
ended up once I got the injuries where I just couldn't play anymore, that man stepped in and he was phenomenal. Like I'm very proud of his success and the fact that he actually listened and entrusted the information that I would give him to be successful. Because
Yes.
I mean, I feel I was a pretty good player. I'm modest, right? I feel I was a pretty good player, but he ended up being a great player. But to hear people like him and others talk about me being a great player, being away from the game now, man, it's a very, very heartwarming feeling to have. To hear that you have the respect of your peers from back in the day. So solid
So
dude.
yeah, he spoke real highly on and off camera. So that was cool. And then, like I said, just reminiscing and everything. I just talking with everybody. It's just to hear y'all stories and find out that some of the stuff that y'all going through is the same stuff that I'm going through, or some of the guys who I talk to. So it's just like telling you, it feels like therapy
Oh
to
yeah, I'm glad you
reminisce.
reached out to me on Facebook because it was. I was like, EJ. I said, man, what has he been up to? And then from there, when you started kind of feeding me the info and whatnot, and I was like, well, yeah, I'll jump on the podcast because you're right. It is therapeutic because only you, myself, and everybody else that has played during that era understand what we are dealing with life after football.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's
So
definitely
go ahead.
no, yeah. So it's definitely uh, a mutual respect with everyone that I played with in the era because I consider myself the the new booty to the crew, right? Because you guys have been there and has really established yourselves and everything. So for me to be able to come in when I did and make the type of impact that I did, and to earn the respect that I did from old school players, from Doggett to um, Hunky and Cedric and everybody else amongst the league, that really meant a lot because those are the true pioneers
Mm-hmm.
of the Arena League. So
Yes.
I always have the utmost respect for them. So to be able to get that acknowledgement from those guys is
Mm-hmm.
what really you know really drove me and kept my competitive juices going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Once you get that acknowledgement from them, you feel like I'm on the right track.
Yeah, definitely.
It almost put what they say. They put a batter in your backpack.
Yeah. Once you, like I said, this. Once you get the respect of your peers, man, you end up becoming uh, a leader in so many different ways. I wasn't really a vocal leader.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I did speak, I made sure that I was more about action. So I can't tell you what you need to do and the effort that you need to give if I wasn't giving it.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as I gave 110%,
Yeah.
now I felt that I can make a comment to you like, man, come on, man, you got to hold that block a little longer for greed, man. Like, come on. They'd be like, you're right, because of the sacrifices that I made. Man, I've been slammed into the wall, flipped over the wall, know, nose busted. So there's a lot. There's a lot that comes with it. So
Yeah. I was watching some of your old films. When I do these podcasts, I want to be able to play some film for you guys to kind of talk about. And I was watching. You'll see on the clip, on some of them clips,
okay.
that it was the Arena Bowl. I remember ran into the wall, and you went out. You went into the locker room and came out and scored right away.
Oh yeah. Man, I remember that so clearly. Oof. And so
Mhm.
here's an interesting story. My nose didn't get broken getting hit into the wall.
Mm.
There was a picture I used to have, and I wish I could still find it. There was a picture of me catching the ball, and Ricky Parker had his hand, and he actually punched me in my nose. So he hit me in my nose and then ran me into the wall.
Mm.
And I saw that picture, and that's what did it. And I was just like, oh, like I don't know if you had a fractured nose before, but that was like the worst migraine you could have.
Hmm.
And I just I always felt that my hands still work. I can still see. I can still run. I didn't have a concussion. Let me let me, go in here to this locker room and see what they can do. And our doctors is Arthur Ting was our team doctor, and we ended up scoring as I went in, and then we're in the locker room, and Dr. Ting was like, "Well, I'm gonna give you a little pain shot." He goes, "You're gonna have to get your nose like reset, like you're gonna have to have surgery." So he tried to move it, and I was like, "Oh gosh, like He says, "Okay." He goes like, "You can still play. I'm just gonna give you a pain shot." I said, "Okay." I said, "Okay, cool." I heard the cannon go off. That means Arizona scored.
Yeah.
I was following Dr. Ting to go get the shot, and I grabbed my helmet and I ran out onto the field. I didn't have no pain shot, nothing. Didn't even. I don't even think I put my helmet. Yeah, I put my helmet on, and then as I started to run out onto the field, as Arizona's walking to the end zone for kickoff, getting ready,
Yeah.
you can hear a distinctive hush amongst the Arizona crowd, and then everybody from San Jose that was sitting in that corner, family and everybody, ended up getting much louder. And I remember looking at, um, gosh, it was a few people that I looked at when I was walking, jogging on, and they looked like they saw a ghost from Arizona. They were like,
They wasn't expecting you to come back.
No, they wasn't. They thought, because here's one of the things that it was always about us. If you took out me or James Rowe, you had a chance of beating us. Playing with both of us being able to play, we were two different dynamic receivers. Like they used to call us the James gang. So he would give
That's
you something with the shakes and all this, and I just
oh man.
I think I lost the mic.
I can see you now. Can't hear you.
Let's see.
I can hear you. Can you hear
Can you hear
me?
me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
What happened to the mic? What happened to the mic?
I know I can hear
I
you
don't have it. I
fine.
can't. I can't hear anymore.
Hmm. Maybe,
Let's see. I'm gonna
maybe
read.
you
I
can
mean,
go. Yeah, I was about to say go out and go back in.
yeah. There's no audio.
Still no.
Oh, there it is. Okay, got it.
I know I know you remember Leroy Thompson?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah, I had him on. We recorded. We haven't aired that one yet, but he had to do that a couple times. He literally had to log off and log back on.
Okay.
So, all right. So I play this video. This first video is all together, but the first part of the video is it was talking about your pregame rituals,
Oh
right?
yeah. Yep.
So kind of that's a good thing because that's pertains strictly to you. Not everybody knows to check the field and they don't know what they're looking for. Some guys they just happy to play. You on the other hand, you're particular about what you need to see and you know going into things. Kind of speak on it as this is playing. You know what you were looking for as you're like checking the field.
Okay. So as I'm checking the field, I'm checking the separation areas and gaps of the turf because you know how those turf fields can be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also looking at the areas that aren't flat, so they're kind of raised over.
Mm-hmm.
So after I would walk through the whole field from front to back, by the time my teammates would come, I would say, "Hey, in this end zone, in this corner, make sure you pick your feet up because it's not flat. It sits kind of high. There's a separation here, separation gap here on the 25-yard line or the 15-yard line. So make sure you watch your footing there. If you go check it out, because I'm big on feel.
Mm-hmm.
So once I felt that by walking back and forth, It was ingrained. So if I hit that spot while I'm playing, it was natural. It was like I had already been there. So that was
Yeah.
my ritual. It was and it was a vision. Like I knew what side had whatever issues. Either way, sideline to sideline, end zone to end zone.
Okay. So I'm gonna get into. I think it might be about 3 routes that you ran. So kind of get into let's get into your mind frame as you're at the top of your motion. What were you looking for? I know you started to talk about it before. Just kind of get into your thought process as you were you were getting into your route and into the play.
Okay, got you. All right, so here at the top of the route, my skip initially lets me see movement by the defense. And I'm looking at the front side corner and the back side corner. And based off their movement was going to determine what defense they were in.
All right.
So the first one here, I realized it was basically they were in man, but they were trying to settle on me. So we had already had a play for something, little 5-yard hitch based off of that actually they were in sky. So the corner was trying to play, me and the other receiver. So we figured that out. Boom. I read that real quick, and that's where the first completion came from.
All right.
This one here, same motion. Now, him coming up at the very beginning, I think I told you before, it's either going to be man or it's going to be sky. So when I do the skip, I see that the backside corner doesn't move. So I know it's not sky, it's man. And he comes late on the backside, and Grebe hits me over the top. Oh yeah, I remember this. This is Arena Bowl 18. I remember that one. Yeah, see, so I get over him, and actually, it was the front side corner was the one that chased me down.
And I think this was the play after you went into the locker room and you came back back out and scored.
Okay, so this was definitely man coverage. So let me give you a little history about this play. This formation we will call ace right. And whenever we ran this formation ace right, they knew that every time I would come down, I would come in and I would do a dig route. So Terry Malley was saying, okay, we're going to go ace right. They're probably going to be on the inside of you. Instead of doing a dig route, you're going to do 8 route. So we call it 5-8-5 instead of 5-7-5. And 2 plays prior to that, Grebe, short hopped Wags on a couple of balls. So the next play was ace right, wing zoom, 5-8-5. And I knew immediately once I made the move of act like I'm getting ready to go in. If you watch the replay, not this one, but there's going to be one right after that'll be able to show you what I did. Here was I set him up on the inside. He was already ready for me to come inside, and then I gave him a parry move, which is something that my father taught me because he's a martial arts professor. That hand swat, and from that point on, I was like, okay, I had to catch the ball because now, at this point, my nose is like a big headache, right? So I'm in pain during this. So when I catch it, to me, that was like one of the turning points of the game because Chuck Reed has said to me when I came to the sideline, he goes, man, when you went out, I was like, man, we finna lose this game. When I seen you come back in, he said, man, we gonna win this game. So it gave him hope. So leading by example is very, very important. I feel. And I'll never forget this play. Like I still watch it to this day.
So you know this way more than me, but when I was coaching with the Preds, trying to teach the receivers what I could tell them, how important is um how important are the hashes and the DB's alignment, and how you set them up, how important, or what are things that you use in your route running to get where you need to be, kind of set up the defensive back, etc., etc.
So believe it or not, for me, well, we're talking Arena League, how I would set up the DB would be based off where I position myself from high motion. Sometimes I'll be a little bit closer to the line, to the quarterback. Sometimes I'll split the difference between the guard and the receiver on the right
Mm-hmm.
side,
Mm-hmm.
and then determining whatever play is called, I would know how much space I would need. So a lot of times I could be lined up too far out on the outside, but then by the time I get back down to the line of scrimmage, I didn't got you lined back up again. So whatever position that you thought you had as a DB, I've closed that up. So you didn't realize that I re-stemmed you. If you're supposed to have inside leverage, now you still think you have inside leverage, but I've actually lined you up.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the things that helped me out a lot. So anybody that thought that they can do particular things, um, they could try and flip it and play with me, but I already knew what to do, and I knew what adjustments I needed to make based off of watching film. I knew what you were going to do before you really knew what I was going to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you could watch film on me and say he's going to stop here, he's going to do this. So, okay, well, if you know that I'm going to stop at 12 yards, and run that hook route, the curl route, then what I'm going to do is at 6 yards, all I got to do is stomp my foot really, really hard to make you think I'm running a stop.
Mm-hmm.
I never stopped my speed. Everything was, you just heard it, boom.
Yeah.
But then I would give that extra burst, like bam, and then they would turn and run, and I'll sit it down, boom. So that prevented people like uh, Doggett and Wheeler, who they used to like to sit there and wait and jump the routes. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, okay, so that's what made them great. Nobody knew how to manipulate what they were trying to do. So I worked real hard at, okay, well, this is what I'm going to have to do to get open. I had some great battles with them. I'm not taking anything from them guys. Both of them guys and everybody else who played me in the middle were great. But those two, they were iconic, and they watched film just as much as I did. So it was a chess match, basically.
Yes. Yes. So, what kind of tips would you give um, receivers? Say they're already in the game, but they need help or some advice on running their routes and what to look for. What are tips would you give to young receivers or inexperienced receivers in the arena?
Um, my tip is basically old school, like they used to tell us back in the day, like get on the DB's toes. You have to make a DB think that you're going down the field every play. You can't half jog or fake it. Like you have to go full speed. Um, Also, alignment. Your alignment is important. If you know you need to create some space, and if you're too far out and you know you got to run an out route, then sometimes what I would do is I'll be here, and then my motion would be this way. And so that motion would line, as I'm lining you up, you're really still going further inside. I
Mm-hmm.
just created space for me to get open. So it's just like manipulating your space, understanding you have to create movement. And you got to be patient. Like, you know, don't rush a route. Like you have to take your time and you have to study your DB and make sure to attack his weaknesses. And
Mm-hmm.
to me, a DB's weakness is his back pedal, right? So my philosophy is this: if you allow a DB to stay in his back pedal, which is very comfortable, you're gonna have a long night. If you remember me playing and anybody that I played against, I pressed every DB I played. You had to respect my speed. So you had to get beat for a touchdown or kind of gamble and okay, let me catch the ball, and then you come up and ensure the tackle. At some point, the DB's gonna get frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
So and I'll say the other advice I'll tell them is take what they give you. Like, don't be greedy. Like, if you catch the, you get open, you catch the ball, and it's like 5, 6 yards, you can't break the tackle, go down. It prevents injury. Like, be a smart player.
Mm-hmm.
Those other big plays of breaking tackles and stuff, those things will eventually, evolve throughout the game. So
Mm-hmm.
uh, and one other thing I would say, be humble as a receiver. So I'm gonna say this, you're probably gonna laugh. When I played, I was very humble. I never talked mess to nobody. DBs would, some people take some type of cheap shots on me or late hits and different things or whatnot. Um, but now that I don't play anymore, this is what I always felt. I felt that even though I had respect for everybody, I felt that nobody could cover me. So I felt that I needed to show you that you couldn't cover me instead of saying that you couldn't cover me and then you end up covering me. That makes sense?
Yeah, yeah.
So now
Stay.
that I'm done, yeah. So now that I'm done, I can say, man, shoot, man, they couldn't fade me and such and such and such. Because I'm done now.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know. So it's like be humble about it. I tell people now, I said, man, they couldn't fade me. They couldn't fade me on the post. They couldn't fade me on that post corner, and they really couldn't fade me on that corner post.
Mm-hmm. That
So yeah, that pogo, yeah. Um, because we were known for that, you know, 6 yard quick hit corner out. Terry came to me one day. He says, "If you can just," this is how he talks. If you can just get back, get back to the post, that'll be wide open. So we tried it one day in practice, and I couldn't do it. He says, "Oh, we're gonna scrap it. We're gonna scrap it." I said, "Coach," I said, "give me till tomorrow, and I'll have it down." He goes, "No, I'm gonna scrap." I said, "Coach, please." I said, "Just keep it in for tomorrow. If I don't have it by tomorrow, you can scrap it." He says, "Okay." And he called me Hundini. Okay, Hundini. EJ. And I have to I get up and give my tutorial. So I would walk my steps. So in my apartment, I would walk and plant to the corner 1, 2, 3, and plant back to the corner. And that's all I did. I just walked out my steps. Bam,
Muscle
one, two,
memory.
three. Muscle memory, right? And then I know my neighbors were kind of tripping because I'm just boom, boom. So it was a rhythm. So I love music. So everything when I played was all about, it was like music. So everything had
Mm-hmm.
a rhythm. Everything that I did, I was doing to a rhythm in my head. Do you
Mm-hmm.
know the first time he called that play in practice? He says, "All right, one cell post one," and as soon as I did it, full speed, bam, bam. Everybody said, "Ooh!" I don't know who was the DB. I want to say it was probably Wags or somebody. Wags or somebody dang near ran into the wall trying to jump the cell, and then I came back underneath him on that post, and I came back and I looked at Terry. I said, "So you're gonna scrap it now?" And he just like looked at me and smiled. And that play was the new play that we used on everybody that used to try and jump that route.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I gotta give mad props to Rashid, because Rashid, he but man, he used to kill him. Rashid started killing them too. He did it, but he'd always say, "Man, but nobody could do it like you, Jay, though."
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, those are the things. You just got to be confident as a receiver, and then just let the game come to you, and just be patient, because it'll come. It'll
Any,
come.
any words of advice, because I know that wall affects a lot of receivers. Wall. Any advice on how to handle that, how to run your route where you don't kill yourself on a wall and then still not catch the ball?
So one of the things that I used to do was any balls that came to the wall when we were in practice, I would I would if I'm catching the ball on the walls here, I would catch the ball and then I would kind of turn to the side and
Mm-hmm.
absorb the wall this way. And that was just something that I kept practicing. Now, of course, in the game time, sometimes you got somebody on your bumper, you gonna get that. Yeah, yeah, right. Th- that me doing that prepared me for those unexpected hits.
Mm-hmm.
So my advice is you just make sure you control the ball first. And if you're close to the wall and somebody's about to hit you, but you just control the ball and secure it, and then take on the contact, and you'll be like bam, bam. And
Mm-hmm.
you really can't fight it, but you gotta kind of just like tense up and prepare for it. Um, After that, it becomes second nature.
Yes.
Uh, and hey, you might have that chance where no feet might.
Over the wall, hitting that cock.
Yeah,
I know.
yeah, yeah. And if you don't have to, depending on the scenario, let me take that back. But if you don't have to, and don't jump nowhere near that wall. If you don't have to, at the end of
Uh-huh.
the day, as a player, you still got to protect yourself. So it's all
Mm-hmm.
about educating yourself and being smart. So if you get to that wall and you feel you got to jump and you're going towards the wall, more than that dude is going to push you into the third into the third row, right?
Give them that opportunity. Why not? I'm
Yeah,
taking
yeah, man. Y'all, man, GBs used to love that opportunity to try and push you over, and I just thought it would be funny. So being able to learning how to create space for yourself to where you don't have to catch the ball by the wall. You can create your space over here, and then as you go over to the wall, you have some space to catch it, and then kind of protect yourself or turn upfield and take the
Mhm.
hit. So it's man, it's some science to it that you have to learn as you're going through the league.
Yeah.
But but the biggest thing, man, stay humble and always have a good attitude because you never know when your number's called.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I got the opportunity to be as great as I became as a Saber Cat, was because yeah, I played in the pros, but I never thought that I was better than anybody uh, in the Arena League. And they used to make jokes about it. They used to call it the phone booth league.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to laugh about it, but then I would go to the games. I was like, man, I would take these hits on the big field. I don't know about this in this wall and all that. I'm not gonna lie, it was an intimidating factor at first, but then after that, I started learning it, and I developed it and learned how to create space and different things. Man, I had so much fun. I had to say that was the best part of uh, my football career's experience. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I always wanted to be like a Jerry Rice, meaning or a star receiver of the team that you prepared for me
Mm-hmm.
specifically. Like you had a game plan for me. And
Mm-hmm.
it got to the point where I would get out there and warm up, and some friends from other team, man, shoot, I got a chance to be number 6 this week, man. You got some cold routes. Like I was trying to do this and do that, and he was like, yeah. The coach said, look, can't remember who we were playing, but he said, man, the coach said this. Um, we're not going to be able to stop Hundon, but if you can kind of slow him down, we just may have a chance. And then he said, but bro, the dude that's guarding you, he says, you're gonna kill him. We have some characters in the league, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
my guy, he was so funny. I was like, who's guarding me? He was like, well, such and such got hurt. I said, oh, the one I was watching the film, he got hurt. He said, yeah, this other dude, um, he gotta cover you. So you're gonna have a field day. I'm just gonna tell you. He says, you're gonna have a field day. And I did. I think I had like 3 or 4 touchdowns that game. Because it became, because it gets to the point where you know that you're good at something and you get real comfortable at it. And then
Mm-hmm.
you know that the caliber of a player that you're playing against, uh, Not saying that he's not great, but he doesn't have the capabilities to keep up with you.
I feel like the arena game, and I always say this, is it's built to showcase talent. So yeah, you can try to scheme to hide a DB who can't cover, or anything offensive lineman who can't block you. Try to quick screen, but if that okay, I know his weakness is this dude ain't. I'm about to eat him alive. I'm about to get him cut. You know what I mean? There's nothing you can do. Is if you gotta, me at defensive end, if I know you got a tight end that can't block, I'm gonna eat him up. And you're gonna he gonna get cut after the game if he can't block. Number one.
Oh yeah.
Number two, ain't no 5-step. You going 3-step and screen all day, and that's gonna affect what you do. So you as a receiver, if you know that this DB, the main one, the first one got hurt. Oh, then you slid a back. Oh, I'm about to eat him alive, and y'all gonna have to try to combo me over here. And
So I'm gonna tell you a quick story, and it's not the bash him. So Chuck Reed at the time was playing for the Wranglers when I had that big game with them. They had a DB cover me, last name Cobb. He ended up playing with Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
I think I went for like 4 touchdowns on Cobb. Chuck Reed ended up coming to us the next year. So he was like, "Oh yeah, man." He said, "Man, Jay Hunt, I've been meaning to tell you this." He says, you got Cobb cut after that game." I said, "Nah." He's like, "No, he got cut like right after that game." And everybody's like, "Yeah, he got cut after that game." So then that year when he came, Cobb ended up taking over for Doggett was hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And I lit him up again. And then Chuck Reed said, "Man, you got that man cut again?" I was like, because I didn't follow the waiver wire. He was like, "Nah, dude." He goes, "You got him." He said, "You the only person I know that got the same DB cut for 2 different teams." And I was like, and I looked at it, I was like, he had got released. And I'm like, dang. But that made me understand, like, it's a business. So you can get
Yes,
cut or you can
it is.
get people cut. So guess what? Is it gonna be me or is it gonna be you?
That's it. You can't feel sorry for him. Like you got
Nope.
you got to prepare better because if I was lacking on my end, you get me cut.
You're
So
right.
it's part of the game. I got to. If I can get for you, if I can get 5 or 6 on you, man, I'm
Yeah,
killing you.
yeah, you might. You're
I'm gonna
not going to
throw
be in
down for
uniform the
you.
next week. And both times, I think I scored. Let's see, I scored 4 him there, and I think it was a season opener the next year in San Jose. And I mean, there were just some DBs, and he was one of them that just didn't have an answer for me. They were shorter guys, whatnot. But I ran a 4.29 40, and you giving me 10 yards to come at you.
Yes.
And I knew how to stop, so it really like it really baffled people. And I would go full speed every play. Somebody told I don't know if you remember Wendell Davis on my team.
Big
uh
boy.
no, play
I'm thinking
defense.
window games. No, I
Yeah,
got
Wendell Davis, he played DB. He said this homeboy came up to him. He said, "Man, it was a DB." He goes, "Do he ever get tired?" Wendell said, "Nah, man, that dude all day long in practice." I said, "He practiced like this." He was like, "Dang, he looked like the first quarter." It's the fourth quarter, right? Fourth quarter. He said, "He looked like he's still fresh like the first quarter." He said, "Man, he go all day." He said, "So that was another thing. I wanted to wear you out. Like,
Mhm.
you're gonna get tired. So you got the two-way over here, you got the two-way over here. Me and you only play offense and defense. So I'm gonna give you 110, 120%. I'm gonna give you everything I have
Yeah.
to where it's gonna frustrate you, or you're gonna do something, and a coach will tell you, man, don't let them get behind you. But then you want to try and challenge me, then I get behind you, and then you want to talk mess. Still, I said, dude, I don't remember what game it was, but this guy was talking all kind of mess. I said, "Dude, I scored 3 times on you. Like, when are you gonna shut up?" That's the only time I would ever talk if somebody
Talking to you.
You know who it was? I don't remember the guy's name, but we were playing the Crush, and we beat them 80-40. And the
Dang.
dude just kept talking. He kept talking, and his own teammate told him, like, "Dude, you need to shut up because he's wearing you out." Oh,
Oh,
those are good old days, though.
yes, yes. I was saying, I just man, just chopping it up with you. It's just like, man, it's I say therapeutic, and that word came out, but there ain't no other, ain't no other word for it.
And man, look, you got my juices. So I was just sitting down. Now I'm standing up because I'm
I see you over here
man.
walking through routes.
Yeah, because I mean that is how connected I was to the sport. Like
Yeah.
I didn't play football to be a superstar. I played football because I loved football. That's the difference. I loved being able to be good and had the opportunity to be great. And even when I played, you may not believe this, I didn't I didn't think I was like great. I knew that I was pretty good and I knew that I was fast. I knew a lot of people can cover me, but I never saw myself like the fans saw me.
Mm-hmm.
So when I started watching my videos, I would get off the YouTube and I would just watch my videos, and it hit me one day. I said, man, I was really fast. Or man, I really did that. Now I see what the
Mm-hmm.
fans saw and why they thought I was so great, and he signed my jersey and all that. It brought it back to reality. So, and I said that was probably like the best part of my life, as a professional athlete, was the arena league.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Okay, so I don't want to hold you up too much. I know I got your blood pumping right now,
I'm gonna
but
go run a sale post.
yeah, but you got any advice for players nowadays who are looking to continue play? Um, they're at a crossroads of do I continue my pro football journey, or do I go get a job or whatever? Any advice for those guys?
The only advice I can give a person is that as an individual, only you have that answer. If you still have that burning desire and you have that belief that you can do it, you pursue it until the doors close. Would be my advice. If
Mm-hmm.
you already kind of like, well, I don't know. If you already got the I don't know, don't pursue it, because you won't make it with the I don't know attitude. You have to go in saying, this is what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna give it my all, because then once the door is closed after you give it your all, guess what? You can be like, man, I gave it my best shot and I did X, Y, and Z, and you never know what comes from that. You could get a job coaching with
Mm-hmm.
somebody, or in
Yeah.
the front office, or there's different opportunities that arises if you still pursue your goal and your dreams.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to have it in here. If it's not in here that you really want to do it, and then if you don't believe that you can do it, don't pursue it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't pursue it. Just hey, it was fun while it lasted, and I could have did it, but I was determined. Like, I knew I was fast. I knew if I got past you, it's a wrap. And I
Mm-hmm.
knew I had that to my advantage. So as I got more accoladed to the different leagues, and and different players from different walks of life, and I'm still running past these people at late 20s and early 30s and mid 30s. I'm like, yeah, I knew I had something that I can cultivate.
Mm-hmm.
And you just got to put in the work. If it means that much to you, you're going to put in the work.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So appreciate you coming on. I don't want to keep you all night.
Man, thanks for having me, EJ. It's good seeing you after all these years. If I'm ever in Florida, we got each other's numbers. I will let you know when I come through there.
Yeah, appreciate that. And shoot, I got to travel some more. After getting done playing and coaching, you just want to sit still. I don't want
Oh,
to. I'm at that point where I was like, I don't want to fly right now. I don't want to do nothing. If I can't drive there in a couple hours, we're chill. So, but I got to get back out there and start traveling, start seeing the
Yeah,
world.
man, come on out here to Phoenix, man. Look, you want to come out here to Phoenix, hang out, man. Look, I got my condo, I got an extra room. You know, like I'm that dude. Like if I got if I've known you, we got man, you in town are gonna be in town for a day. We're about a hotel, man. Just let me know you coming. The room's already set up. You know, you ain't gotta worry about transportation. We do whatever we do and run you around and fly on back out or whatever. Like. You know, it's all love with my people that I've come across, you know, from playing football. So
Yes, sir.
anytime, brother, you're welcome.
I appreciate you. So yeah, appreciate you coming on, chopping it up with me, and we'll be in touch.
All right, sounds good, man.
All
God
right,
bless you. All right.
bless.